Tell me, Carole, you specialize in European Union and Europe. What's going on in European Union? You're trying to distance yourself from the US, you're trying to distance yourself from Russia, and you seem to be, as a country, more interested in the Middle East. And so there are a lot of changes seems to be happening. What exactly are the reasons behind these changes? What exactly, are the kind of, what's the roadmap and what exactly the destination? I mean, all these big changes in a way, especially if you look at the developments the last 3 days, the kind of stand the European Union has taken vis-a-vis the United States or President Trump. So what exactly is happening? Could you tell us?
Well, I'm not sure.
Is it working? Yes.
Yes. I'm not sure if it's so much Europe which is changing, or Europe's partners or allies, as we used to call them. Of course, the major change came from the US, and it's probably the US that are isolating themselves from the rest of the world, I think so. So perhaps transatlantic relations are not at their best at the moment, but because the US president is using tough language on Europe and the European Union, perhaps on the European side, it makes us more united, because suddenly it comes clear that we share some values.
Allow me to interrupt, allow me. So you saying that President Trump is using a tough language against Europe, and that's leading to Europeans coming actually even closer?
Well, for example, on trade, it's very clear. I mean, President Trump is expressing its views through tweets, and he basically said that trade terms with Europe were unfair, and that it could no longer be this way. And then he invited the President of the European Commission, Juncker, to Washington, and apparently, well, they try to come to a common solution and avoid, of course, trade tariffs, etc. But
again, allow me to interrupt. You see, but if that is the case, then you should actually be strengthening your ties with Russia, because you need energy, and Russia has plenty of it, surplus. So, but even with Russia, you see a lot of mist and a lot of kind of winter between European Union and Russia?
Well, of course, because the US is perhaps the most recent change, but there are also changes, or at least disturbing events on our eastern side and border. And of course, all of you remember Crimea annexation and the war in Ukraine, and still going on in Donbass. I mean, Europe is, well, Europe and Russia are key partners in terms of energy, and it has been the case since, let's say, even during the Cold War, the pipelines were built. It was said this morning, but it has never been a perfect love story, as we said yesterday.
Is it, Carole? Is it Britain is moving out? Yeah. Turkey has a different opinion in the sense, well, not exactly EU, but Turkey is an important part of Europe, and in a way. And but it seems that European Union is actually internally falling apart. There are many people within Europe, they don't want to be, they don't believe in the European Union anymore. And many of them are now in parliaments of respective countries, in your country, in Sweden recently, in Italy, and in Germany we have seen. So is that kind of, narrative that, oh, it's President Trump, but actually this being done in order to consolidate European forces. So President Trump is just an excuse.
I don't think so. Of course, it's difficult times in Europe as well. Populism is rising everywhere, from Italy to Sweden, France, Germany. The extreme right party AfD, Alternative für Deutschland, is getting stronger and stronger. And there are many explanations for this. The first one would be, let's say, slow economic growth, the globalization not bringing a better situation for everyone, unemployment rates, of course, migration, what we call in Europe the migration crisis, but a crisis that is probably going to last, so a long-term perspective that has to be managed, and of course it's creating division among Europeans. Okay. And the UK voted to leave, so it's not an easy environment, but we are going to have elections next year, and I don't want to be pessimistic. Of course, populism is rising, but there are also some strong voices in favor of the European Union political project. It's not over. I think it's, tough time for almost everyone. Okay. Of course, we have to hear the complaints and the arguments from parties that are against the European Union. The project has to be renewed, but at the same time, it's also an opportunity to think of what makes us united. External threats are important. Strategic interests, but also our industrial interests are the same. So let's see. I'm not sure.
Let me ask you the last question. In your eyes, your personal eyes, who is doing a better job? Your president or German Chancellor?
Well, Angela Merkel has been the Chancellor for 10 years, more than 10 years now, and my president has been in power for only 1 year. So, of course, there's some kind of fatigue in Germany, and her legitimacy and her policies are being contested at the moment. But let's say...
Well, so you actually are saying you're president?
No, I'm saying that it's easier for a president who has been elected only 1 year ago to be...
1 year is a long time in politics.
Internally, but not internationally. I think he has of course, my personal view is that he was...
Did you vote for him?
Of course.
Oh, yes, thank you very much.
Well, you know what the other option was.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.